Good afternoon. We're doing our project on Shell with our designated country, Brazil. We are in Dr. Johnny's International 402 class. The due date for this project is November 5th, 2022. Presenting this project is Devin Taplin, Andre Smith, Lexus Lewis, Dorimika Nichols, and Lauren Scott. For today's agenda, we will discuss Shell's role in global impact, SWOT analysis, its 2020 and 2021 financial situation, international strategies, operations in Brazil, Brazil politics, the currency and currency history, Shell's corporate values, and opportunities and challenges it may face.
Shell has a major role as a global multinational company. Shell is a global group of companies that specialize in energy and petrochemical companies that work in more than 70 countries. Shell provides around 3% of the world's electricity for businesses, homes, and transport. Shell also contributes to the other 70 countries and various communities that they operate in around the world by providing payments to governments, taxes, royalties, as well as sales taxes that they collect in those countries.
Following along, I'll be talking about the SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The first thing I'll talk about is the strength. Their employees are highly motivated. Mobile units keep staff up to date with data. Shell has an international standard petrol pumps. And their weaknesses. Shell avoids taxes. And a fun fact about Shell avoid taxes, Shell doesn't pay taxes in the UK, even though they have a high standard rate in profits. And of the 25 largest corporations, Shell is the largest negative impact on climate policies. And next, opportunities. Shell is an international company which creates opportunity to install more petrol pumps. And lastly, threats. Entry of new companies in the refinery sector and smuggling. On the next slide, 2020 and 2021 Shell financial situation. I'll be talking about production of manufacturing expenses, which was $23,822,000,000 in 2020. In 2021, it went up $24,100,000,000. Income loss before taxation, $23,829,000,000. In 2021, it went down $26,967,000,000.
The international strategy that Shell uses is a global approach. Shell is recognized as one of the world's most international organizations. For over 100 years, they have been one of the world's leading energy companies. The global group of energy has a total of 80,000 employees in over 70 countries. And they also, in the past 3 years, have drilled 3 exploration wells without finding any commercial volumes. This has costed Shell around $1 billion.
So I'll be talking about Shell's operations in Brazil. Their headquarters are in Rio de Janeiro. Shell generates their revenue by producing and sourcing oil and natural gas. Their primary products are oil, petroleum, and lubricants. Their onshore drilling sites are in Campos, Paranara, and São Francisco basins. Their offshore drilling sites are in the Campos, Santos, and Portugal basins. So this slide is about Brazil's political, legal, and economic systems. Brazil is a federal republic similar to the US, with the president as the head of state and government. The current president of Brazil is Jair Bolsonaro, and the Minister of Energy is Adolfo Sachida. The basin lots are managed by the National Agency of Petroleum and Natural Gas. The population of Brazil is 214 million. This population is enough to sustain the market, employment levels, and other human resource related. Brazil's land mass is approximately 8.5 million kilometers squared. So Shell has enough basins or space to operate both onshore and offshore. Brazil's major imports are mineral oils, machinery, and electrical equipment. These imports are necessary for Shell to conduct their day-to-day functions, and the exports are meat, iron, and machinery.
Brazil is the largest oil producer in South America and the 8th largest oil producer globally. The oil and gas market accounts for most of its investments in Brazil and the economy's GDP by 10%. So the currency performance to the US dollar, Brazil and its neighboring countries, is, as you can see, $1 US is 5.38 Brazilian reals. And for one of the neighboring countries, $1 US equals 155.36 Argentine pesos. As you can see, I concluded this on October 26, 2022 at 10:50 p.m. Overall, throughout my research, I realized that the United States dollar holds a higher value of exchange rate compared to Brazil or any of its surrounding countries. Let's talk about the Brazilian real currency history over the past 5 years. So, November 1st, 2018, $1 US equaled 3.69 Brazilian reals. In 2020, $1 US equals 5.74 Brazilian real. As you can see, over the past 5 years, the Brazilian real has depreciated in comparison to the US dollar. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Brazilian real depreciated by 45%. As the Brazilian real continued to depreciate, it would affect the country's consumer price index or the purchasing power parity. The Brazilian currency devaluations have positively impacted trade and contribute to increase of exports. Shell off drilling operation increased despite of the currency depreciation.
Corporate citizenship. Corporate citizenship is the extent at which a business is socially, legally, ethically, and economically responsible. What makes a good corporate citizen is a strong moral and ethical standards. Shell's statement is that they strategically invest in conservation efforts to address community-specific difficulties brought on by their presence while being informed by scientific understanding and studying the environmental effects of their operations. So is Shell a good corporate citizen? As Andre stated before, of the top 25 corporations, they contribute most negatively to climate policy. But what they do to offset this is they have contributed over 13 million acres of wetlands for restoration and protection over the past 20 years. They installed nature-based infrastructure to reduce flooding, slow coastal erosion. They built artificial reefs to support local economies and encourage wildlife. They cleaned miles of shoreline and conserved more than 1.8 million acres of land. And they also invested $40 million into preservation-focused companies in Brazil. Some of the opportunities that they have is to invest in renewable energy. Shell is set to invest $565 million into renewable energy through 2025. This is a great opportunity for Shell because it will help them reduce carbon emissions and address climate change. And then a challenge is finding more resources. They spent $1 billion for the rights to explore Brazilian land, and unfortunately they didn't find anything worth for commercial wells, so they used their time, their money, their resources, and came up with nothing. So.
And in closing, Shell has made a significant impact in the petrochemical business, becoming a worldwide company in 70 countries. They continue to thrive with success by implementing SWOT, which I explained what SWOT is, using their resources to invest in better opportunities for their companies, such as renewable energy and preservation of wetlands and wildlife.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation. And this is all of us who are doing the presentation today. Bye. Till next time.